Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining this stream on both platforms, YouTube and Rumble. I'm streaming simultaneously on both channels there. Today is 17th of June. Now it's 11 o'clock in the morning, Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments. And hopefully, you will find this episode of news update from Moscow informative and useful. Through support platforms, I received one question from Patreon member, and I will answer to that question after news segment. And obviously, of course, I will react on super chat on Rumble. And if there will be any question during the stream from either PayPal platform or Boosty, if I were unable, in case I'm unable to answer during the current stream, then I will answer during the next stream. But I'm not gonna miss out on the question, that's for sure. Okay, that's been said, dear friends. As I said, plenty of news. So much is happening, and so let's start today's news update. And even though I guess the world's attention is now mainly focused on developments in the Middle East, and I have many news about this topic. I'm going to start with the Ukrainian crisis first. And so since the yesterday evening, Russian air defense systems on duty intercepted 198 Ukrainian drones that were launched with the assistance of NATO to strike deep into Russian territory. Enemy drones were intercepted over their Belgorod, Kursk, Bryansk, Voronezh, Tver, Lipetsk, Oryol, Tambov, Tula regions, also over the Moscow regions. Quite a large-scale attempt of Kiev regime and NATO to strike deep into Russian territory. At this moment, there are no reports about casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage. At least I did not see news on that. Or if any update, of course, I will share additional information during the day on my Telegram and Twitter X page in next update. But same time, Russian armed forces also conducted large-scale missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime. And I share information about it this morning, of course, on my Telegram channel, Twitter X page. Let me show you some images of aftermath of Russian long-range strikes. One of the main directions was Kiev. And for example, this is one of the images that is circulating on internet of the aftermath of Russian strikes in Kiev. According to reports, Zhuliany airfield was one of the directions of Russian strikes where Kiev regime and its NATO backers were storing Patriot air defense systems and some other air defense systems, additional military equipment. And reports are that as a result of these strikes, Russian armed forces actually destroyed Patriot battery, and this is a video of strikes. You clearly see missiles are avoiding air defense, striking their targets. It was a relatively large scale Russian strike on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime. And as I said, according to preliminary reports, quite successful one. Many military assets of this Western-backed terrorist regime was hit and destroyed, including Patriot air defense battery. Let's see what Russian Defense Ministry will share with public about these strikes. Kiev regime, on its part, stated that about 400 drones were launched by Russian armed forces and a few dozen missiles. Although, as I'm always saying, I don't take nothing from Kiev regime as to be true. So therefore, let's wait what Russian Defense Ministry will say about these strikes. In addition, dear friends, let me share with you this information that Russia has handed over 6,060 bodies of fallen Ukrainian armed forces soldiers and officers to Ukraine, to Kiev regime, as it was agreed during the recent second round of talks, direct talks between Moscow and Kiev regime. And same time, Russia offered to transfer bodies of another 2,239 killed Ukrainian military personnel. There was no answer on this humanitarian gesture of goodwill from Russian side. Let's see what Kiev will do about it. But due to internal pressure on Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky, I guess they would not be able to refuse to accept this transfer. And I remind you, dear friends, that according to a number of sources, Western one and others, Moscow actually is in a position to transfer bodies of killed Ukrainian military personnel in tens of thousands. Politico recently reported that Russia can transfer 40,000 plus bodies of the killed Ukrainian military personnel to Kiev regime, and other sources are reporting about 60,000. Obviously, it is difficult to say until Russian Defense Ministry itself will make their information public. We would not know for sure, but I would not be surprised definitely if Russia can transfer tens of thousands of bodies of killed Ukrainian military personnel in upcoming days, if Kiev regime will accept this transfer. In any ways, this process, humanitarian process in this crisis continues. Russian side is transferring bodies of killed Ukrainian military personnel, and also, as it was agreed in Istanbul, POW exchanges are taking place, and soon wounded POWs from both sides probably will be exchanged also. In addition, dear friends, I want to share with you this information that yesterday Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service made very important information available to the public, which is that Ukraine and a number of European states, globalist control regimes in Europe, basically UK, France, Germany, others, are plotting complex and bloody provocations against Moscow. So provocations are expected in the Baltic Sea, according to Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. And one of their scenarios that they are preparing is basically to stage the fake Russian torpedo attack on US Navy vessel. Can it happen? Of course it can, right? Reports are coming in, including from Western media outlets, that US basically exhausted its capabilities to stay in forward positions when it comes to this proxy war against Russia, and distancing itself now, giving European regimes opportunity to lead this proxy war, while US will focus on other areas. And we clearly see areas towards which US is going to be more focused, and to keep US in this proxy war as much as possible. Globalists and globalist control regimes will, of course, try anything, including false flag operation. And among possible scenarios that they are considering, this one, attack on a US vessel with Soviet era, let's say, torpedoes that still can be on our military inventory of the Russian Navy, definitely can be considered. So Russian Foreign Intelligence Service made this information public. Probably information was also transferred to their American colleagues, so that both sides will probably do whatever they can to to make sure that they're not gonna fail into this trap that will be created by the globalists. And in any ways, by the way, as I was saying in so many updates and many other commentators on alternative media, due to desperation on part of globalists and their control regimes in Europe, everyone should expect false flag operations on their behalf to keep US in this proxy war in a leading position, not just to keep it in, but to keep it in a leading positions, because it's only US that is more or less capable to provide Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky with their massive volumes of weaponry, munition, and so on. European countries, European NATO member states, almost completely exhausted their stockpiles. Not completely, but they are almost on level of complete exhaustion, and they are definitely in no position to prolong this war against Russia for another number of years, and they are definitely not in a position to achieve strategical defeat of Russia as they are dreaming about. So information is public now. False flag operations being planned by globalist controlled regimes in the West, in Europe, and their proxy Kiev regime, and Moscow and Washington should be in touch to make sure that due to provocations of these elements, Russia and US not going to end up in a direct war, let's say. Although risk of that is obviously there. Also, this morning I shared on my Telegram and Twitter X page this information that Secretary of the Russian Security Council, Sergei Shoigu, is again in North Korea on behalf of Russian president, on the instructions of Russian president, obviously, where he will meet with the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, and presumably with the other civilian and military leaders of the republic. Important news, sir. I think I can give you some video on that matter. I think this is important, and when first reaction was, why would not Shoigu be appointed as a Russian ambassador in North Korea? Because he's in almost every other week is there nowadays, right? And question is what is going on? Is this visit is connected with the Russian-North Korea cooperation in terms of military, in terms of security, or maybe this visit is also somewhat connected with the current developments in the Middle East? Because we all know North Korea has huge stockpiles of all sorts of weapons since the ceasefire was reached on the Korean Peninsula. And we are talking about millions and millions of, tens of millions of actually shells of artillery of all sorts, and tens of thousands of missiles, potentially even more. And well, maybe this visit and in the current talks are connected strictly to bilateral relationships and the partnerships in military and security matters, potentially economical matters, why not? Or who knows, maybe due to escalation in the Middle East, that topic will be also discussed by the representatives of the two countries. In any ways, this is something that we should pay attention to, I believe. Hello everyone, I hope you find informative and useful this short clip from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with the crypto currencies. Or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.